So it is lesson 10, hour 3, and we've integrated our Stripe payment. And now we want to work on our save order method. So we've kind of set out the steps here. We're going to grab the session variable, create the order, create the line items, delete the cart items, delete or set back to 0 the session item count. And then we're going to load an order confirmation page, which we will scaffold and then customize. So the same line of code we've written in our last two methods. We use HTTP context.session.get object. We want to cast it as a models.order. So we've already got an order object, and our order already has all the fields we need. It's got the address, the city, the province, the postal code, the customer, the total, and the date. So we can just save it. So we'll use our context object.orders.add. So we're going to add it to our DB set that we declared in application DB context. And then to commit the changes to SQL Server, we just call context.saveChanges. So we're going to need to call save changes 3 times in this method. First to save the order. Then we're going to create the line items and save them in one transaction. And then we're going to delete the line items and remove those from the carts table. So now to create the line items, we need to get all the items in the user's cart. We'll use our carts DB set. And we don't want to get everything in the carts table, only the items for the current customer. So we're getting all the items attached to the current customer ID in the session. So if there's 1 million items in the carts table and this customer had 3 of them, we only want those 3. And then we're going to loop through these and create a new order detail for each one of these. So we're going to create a new order detail object. And we're basically just going to map the properties from the cart items to the order details. So we'll set our product ID is equal to our item product ID. Whatever product is in the cart, we need to save to the order details. The quantity is also going to just get copied from the cart to the order detail. Whoops, I have a sticky enter key on my keyboard. Our order detail, I don't know why I called this property cost in the model. I should have called it price, equals our item dot price. Our order detail also needs a foreign key, right? We've got to attach each line item to our order. So we also need to set our foreign key value. Our order ID equals our order.id. So this is going to create a new order detail record for each item in the customer's cart. If they have 5 items in the cart, they get 5 order detail records. If there's 1 item in the cart, they get 1 order detail record. And then we're going to add to our DB set. So our context.orderDetails.add. And again, we'll call save changes. So this is going to create a new order, and then it's going to create all the line items that are attached to this order based on the order ID. Now we have more to do in here, but let's run it this way first and see, we can look in the database, does this create an order, and does it create order details along with it? Now, right now I've got an error because our method doesn't return anything yet. So for now, we'll add the code to redirect. This is going to give us a blank screen because we're going to call a redirect that doesn't yet exist. We'll return redirect to action. So we're going to redirect to an action called details in a controller called orders. We haven't built that controller yet, but we're going to do that when we're done with this method. We also need to pass in our order ID. If we're going to call the details method, we got to provide the ID of the order we want to show. So we'll create a new parameter, ID equals order.id. So right now, this is going to give us a blank page. That's okay. The first time we try it, it should take us to orders details 1. I'll put this method up on Pastebin for you in case you're a bit behind, and we can try it. I'm going to make an order, pay through Stripe. We should get a blank, taken to this URL where we'll get a blank screen. And then we can look in Management Studio to see if our orders and order details tables get any records. I'll put this up on Pastebin in case you missed any of it. We'll try it. Once it's working, we'll have to deal with these two steps as well. So this is not going to empty out the cart yet. We just want to see if it can save an order and save the order details. So there's the link on Pastebin. So I'm going to try to shop and pay. Hopefully I get taken to an empty order details page and my order and order details get created in the database. So I will buy something. I'll check out. I'll invoke the Stripe payment page, and I'll fill it out and pay. It may not work with a fake postal code. We'll see. I guess it does. Well, that's interesting. Pending model changes. I didn't think I made any changes to my models, but it's telling me create a new migration. Okay. I guess I'll create a new migration in the database. I didn't think I needed one, but just keep in mind, if you're using my database, if you're using my code from GitHub, please don't use my database because we're going to get conflicts. So you've got to change app settings.json. That might be why I'm getting this message. It may be that someone pulled down my code from GitHub, didn't change the connection string. So that may cause some issues in my database. So please do not use my database. I'll try a migration to see if this fixes it.
I got the same, and I'm connected to my own separate database.
Okay, all right. So I will add a migration. Orders setup. I'll just put in a name. I'm not exactly sure. I'll be interested to see what change the migration file indicates. Oh, it's that those fields are required. In my order model, that's why. So the order model, that's okay. We required address, city, province, and postal code, but we didn't have those required when we ran our migration last week. So this is going to make those fields not nullable. That's okay. So I'll just update my database. No problem. So now none of those fields will allow nulls in SQL Server. I'm fine with that. So now address, city, province, and postal code in SQL Server, it will block null values. I'm probably going to have to start my order again here. Yeah, now it's empty. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I got to go back and start again because I wiped out my session. I'll try and buy my beige sweater again. We'll call Stripe. Oops. It tells me if the card is invalid. Ah, there is already an open reader. So what happened here on line 266? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay. We can't call save changes repeatedly in the loop. We need to add all the order details. And this context.save changes, it should come after. So this will save all of the order details in one transaction. So this will have saved my order, but not my order details. It will have failed. If I look in the database, in my orders table, I actually have two orders here. But my order details table is empty. So it saved the order, but then failed on the line, on the details. So I've got to move this outside of my for each loop. I'm going to make another order and try again. I forgot this can't run inside my loop. It's got to go after. So move that second context.save changes after our closing curly brace. Shrink this down and try one more time. So go back to my cart. So I've moved my context save changes after this curly brace for the for each loop. I'll put a few items in the cart this time, so I can see that multiple order detail records should get created. Yeah, we've got to do a lot of tests. That's perfectly normal. Okay, so where did it take me? It took me to order details 3. So that's encouraging, no errors. So I should now have a new order with number 3, which I do. Totals 139.98. And if I requery order details, there's now 2 items with the foreign key of order ID 3. So our code is now working. If I go to Stripe, I'll be able to see the payment. So now I've created an order and then taken each item in the cart, saved. So that's cool. The issue is, though, now, if I go back to my cart, these items are still here. I've already paid for this order. I've saved it to the database. So we should be clearing out the shopping cart as well as this little session variable. So we need to complete these steps. So again, I'm going to loop through the items in the cart and delete each one. I'll use the same loop as I've got on line 255. We'll call context dot, we'll use our carts DB set, and we're going to call remove. And after the loop, again, we're going to save to the database. So we're going to remove each one from the DB set, and then we'll commit those deletions to the database. And then we're going to set int32, our item count session variable. We're going to set it back to 0. So that will make the little numeric badge in our navigation bar disappear, because that badge only shows if the session item count is greater than 0. So this should be our complete method now. I will update it on Pastebin. So now we should be able to pay, and if I go back to the cart should be empty. Shouldn't be any items here, and my badge in the nav bar should also disappear. So there's our completed order method. Grab it from the session, create an order. Get the items in the user's cart, create a line item for each one tied to our new order ID, save all the line items to the database, delete all the cart items. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Thanks, Dan. My apologies. Set the item count session variable back to 0 and then load the order details page. So show the customer the new order. Thanks for letting me know. So I'm going to shop one more time. This time I think I'll put 3 items in the cart. One, 2, 3 items in my cart. I'll check out. Excuse me, we'll call Stripe. Try my payment. Okay, so it's given me order 4. If I go back to my shopping cart now, it should be empty, which it is. So no badge in the nav bar, no visible items in the cart. Yet my order and order details have been created. So here are my 3 line items. And here's my new order. Order ID 4, made at 123 with the total. And that total matches my payment amount in the Stripe panel. So there's 154.98. There's my newest order. So it takes me to orders, details, 4, but I get a blank screen here. So what we can do is we can use scaffolding to create an orders controller. So we can see not only the details, but also an index view that lists all the orders. We can then click on one and see the details. So I'm going to go to my Solution Explorer, and in my controllers, I want to scaffold a new controller. So I'm going to right-click Controllers. I'm going to add a controller. We want Visual Studio to build the views for us and write all the code in the controller. We'll need to modify it a bit, but we don't have to start from scratch. So we'll pick an MVC controller with views using Entity Framework, just like you did in your assignment, and just like we did for our product and categories controllers. We'll pick that. Our model is going to be the order model, and everything else we can just leave. Our application DB context, We want to generate views. We want to use our shared layout, and the name will be orders controller. So the only thing you have to select here is the order model. That's it. Visual Studio is going to build the rest. So a new controller using Entity Framework and the order model. And then you can just click the Add button. So we'll let Visual Studio build the controller. It will have the index, details, create, edit, delete methods, and it will have the 5 views. So down here in my Solution Explorer, we're going to get an orders folder. So we'll let this run. So here's our new controller with all the methods. And here's our views. So if I refresh my details page now, I'll just restart my server. I'm not sure why. If I refresh order details, it now gives me a sort of a functional page. It's not finished, but it's not bad. It's a start. But we need to make some changes here. So this is our order confirmation page that Mike and Jillian recommended we have. What changes does it need? If you were the customer and you finish shopping, it does. So yeah, so you're right, Kevin. That's what I'm saying. So can we be specific? What things are needed? How would we fix this up so it looks professional? Yep. Okay. So we want to format the total with our currency format. Yep. What else? Yeah, we'll want to display, like we showed in the cart, we'll want to show the product quantity and price. So we'll build a little table at the bottom. Yep. What important piece of information would the customer need besides the items that's also not being displayed here? Okay, yes, we don't have that. But let's say they don't get delivered. What piece of information does the customer need so they could call .NET Duds and say, hey, where's my order? Right. So the order number is in the URL, but we also should make it, maybe put it as part of the heading, you know, your order number, and make it a heading. So that's really clear to the customer. We've also got this edit link, which gives us a form to edit. So we don't want that. So let's make those changes to clean this up. Okay, let's go into our orders, details. Yeah, Jillian, we could. We're not actually recording that in the database though. So yes, we could have done that. We kind of omitted that, but that wouldn't be a bad idea. So I'm going to change lines 4 and 8 to say order details. In this H4, I'll have this say your order number, and then at model.id. So we'll display the order number, like Lindsay said, in an H4 tag. So if I refresh, does order details, your order number right here. So if I need to call the company, I've got my order reference number here. I want to use our currency format on the total. So the format that Dan, you were suggesting, that 0:C, we're going to wrap this. So let's come down. Our total appears here. For me, it's line 54. So we'll use string.format in curly braces, 0:C, comma, model.total. I'm also going to get rid of line 59. I'm going to get rid of the edit link. We don't want that. I'll just throw this in the chat if you need it. So my edit link's going to disappear, and our total is going to show up as $154.98. So now below this, we want to add a little table that Mike suggested that shows the line items. What did I actually buy? We want to show the product, the quantity, and the price. So in between this section and my back to list at the bottom, so that's in between these two divs, I'll add another H4, says items, and I'll create a table. Right. So we'll add 3 headings here. We'll add product, quantity, and price. So that's going to be our header row. And then we'll use a loop to display each of the order details. So for each item in our order details, we'll create a new row and 3 columns. I'll put this up on Pastebin when it's finished. So our first column is going to show the item, .product, .name. Our second column is the item quantity. And our third product column is the item.cost. Because our order detail model has the field, I called the field cost, not price. I'll put this on Pastebin. Well, I guess let's look at it first. Let's see what happens. It's not quite complete. There's probably no point me uploading it till we're finished with it. Okay. It says, hey, we don't have order details. Well, that's kind of weird, right? When I do model dot, order details comes up. It recognizes this. Yet in my view, it says, nope, this order details thing, it's not a thing. Object is not set to an instance of an object. It doesn't exist. So in order to fix this, we need to modify the details method of our controller. Yep, Jeffrey, you got it. So I'm going to go to my orders controller. In the details method here, when we're getting the order for this ID, I'm also going to append on here. So on line 37, I'm going to add dot include, and I'll use a lambda expression, O equals O dot order details. So when you're getting the order, this basically does a join to the details table and says, doesn't understand this. Are we missing a reference? Yes. I'm not sure why it's, hang on, I'm just going to try this up here for a second. If I put it here. It has to go before the first or default. So I've appended it on right here. So this include, it does a join. It says don't only get the order, but also get the child data. So I'm going to just save that. Move this down here so you can see the code. And I'll refresh the details view again. Okay, so that order goes away, but now it says, hey, we now know what the order details are, but we don't know what the product is. So we also need to include the products, because we can't display the product. So we're going to include the order details, and then we are going to include the parent, the other parent of order details, which is the product. So we're doing two joins, orders to order details, and then order details to product. So again, I'll give you this modified version in Pastebin. So we solved one error, then we got another one. I'm going to go a bit quickly with the rest of this just in the interest of time, because I've got a department meeting starting right after class. Oh, I didn't save my change. Helps if you hit save. This should load the page, and then I got just a, yeah, I know, 3-hour class, and then actually we have 2 meetings today, which is super fun. So now my page loads. There we go. Here's all the items on the order. It's also given me, yeah, I should really speak to Ross about that. So here's our index view. I'm going to clean this up in a minute too. So in this one, I only ordered one product. Oh, that one didn't work. So here's my 2 products. I'm just going to format these, align them to the right, and then this page is done. So I'm going to go kind of quickly. Don't worry, I'm going to put all the code on GitHub. So for my quantity and price headings and rows, I'm going to add class equals text dash right to all 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want to format the cost as currency and I always forget that quote. So there's the completed details view. I'm going to put it on Pastebin. I'll get you the link. So this is going to right align my quantity and price and format my price as currency. So the view is done. I got to make a couple quick changes in the controller. Why? Here's why. Let me grab that URL, pop over to Chrome, paste it in. Ah, not so good. I am an anonymous user and I can now browse anybody's orders. So I need to make two changes to the controller. Number one, we need to authorize the whole controller. Anonymous users should not be able to call any method in the orders controller. Number two, if I log in, so I'll log in as customer 2 here. Maybe I'll make a quick order here. Just go ahead and purchase as a separate customer. So I'm going to make an order, not with my Google account, as customer 2. If I go back to my list, I get everybody's orders. And when I'm logged in as customer 2, I can see the order I made with a Google account. So we also need to restrict in the query, we need to make sure the customer asking for this order owns that order, that they're the one who made it. So I'm going to make, we don't actually need the session, Jillian, but we're going to do something similar. We've got a bit of a shortcut. So the first thing I'm going to do is call authorize on the whole controller. If you are not logged in, you can't call any of the methods here. So I've got to reference Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.authorization. This will take care of an anonymous user coming in here. So I'll grab that URL, go down to Edge, where I'm not logged in at all. So now I got 3 browsers going. Firefox, I'm logged in with a Google account. In Chrome, I'm logged in with a local username, and in Edge, I'm not logged in at all. So in Edge, I should get sent to the login page because I'm not logged into the site, right? At the controller level, I've now said authorize. I'm not logged in here, so I can't get in. That's good. But I also want to change my query so customer 2 can't see Rich's orders. So in here, in the details, here's what we're going to check. After it finds the order, we're going to say if our order.customer ID. So Jillian, you suggested a session. We actually can just inspect the user object, the user.identity.name. If those aren't equal, that means this customer is trying to access somebody else's order. So in this case, I'm going to load the error view. There's a view called error in the shared folder. Over here, under shared, there's an error page. So if current customer does not own this order, so this should prevent what's happening here. Customer 2 from loading order 4. So I'm going to refresh this. I should get an error page now. What's going on? Let me log out. Log in. It's customer 2. So I can view my own order. Okay. Well, maybe instead of 5, I'll have to clean that up. It's doing the right thing. It's just not loading the right view. I also just need to clean this page up because as customer 2, I should only see my own orders. And as Rich, I should not see customer 2's orders. So in the index method, I'm going to add a .where clause. Where our o.customer ID is equal to user.identity.name. I'm also going to sort them in descending order, so the newest orders are at the top. So I'm going to sort by order date descending. I know I'm going kind of quickly here. I just wanted to finish that coding. So now when I'm logged in with my Google account, I won't see this order. And when I'm logged in with my customer account, I won't see the other orders. This is the last thing I'm going to do. I'll clean up this page a little bit and put the code on GitHub. I want to format the price. So now as Rich, I no longer see the other orders. So I could add a link to the orders history, and I could get rid of the links here. So I'll clean those things up. I'm going to let you guys go and stop the recording. I will clean those items up before I push to GitHub. I'll just add some formatting to the table. I want to display the order number, fix some of the column headings, get rid of the links. And then as soon as a user logs in, I want to give them a link that says My Orders. That will take them to their order history. Okay, I'm sorry I have to go. I apologize for rushing through things today. Thank you. I will push everything up to GitHub as soon as I clean up the code here. So we've got this all finished. No quiz this week. Have a great week, everyone. Relax. I will see you next week.